The GOP is moving to kill an exemption for Congress in their health care bill. Now, it was reported on this show yesterday that there was a new version of the health care bill put forth, and it had some waivers for people in Congress to pull out of it. They said the amendment would have allowed states to seek waivers for certain Obamacare regulations, but the lawmakers and their staff would be exempt from the changes. And then Democrats fired back with tweets like this from the DCCC. How convenient, House Republicans are exempting themselves from their appalling Obamacare repeal plan. Say no, basically saying it's not good enough for them, but it's good enough for you. Now, folks on the Hill are saying they're going to remove that amendment or reword it so that the members of Congress can't pull out of it. This from Representative Tom MacArthur, who wrote the amendment, saying that'll be fixed. It was written in to comply with some Senate rules to make sure it's a budget vote. Now, so the idea being a budget vote is filibuster proof. If you make it more of a legislative non-budget vote, then you need to get 60 votes within Congress. Right there, do you trust him? What do you think about this reaction?
Well, they're doing it, so I trust them. I mean, right. Whatever their motivation, I don't know. I'm always sort of skeptical of the motivations of people who are, Leonard Lance, the congressman from New Jersey, Republican, saying this is the height of hypocrisy. Why is this the height of hypocrisy?
Yeah, the hypocrisy has been around for a while now.
Why did they pick this? I mean, this to me seems a hypocritical, but why do you stop here when there's so much hypocrisy? Why did you not talk about this with Merrick Garland? Where were you, Leonard Lance? You didn't have a vote on it. Why don't you say this is hypocritical? But yeah, but I believe it. They're doing the right thing here. The exemption was insulting and it shouldn't have been in there. And Republicans saying, well, you're right. And it was because of getting blowback, right? It was because, first of all, a lot of them didn't read it in the first place, so they didn't know. But once they did, and once smart people did, they said, well, you're really going to do this? They said, no, that's terrible.
How do you not read something that you are going to vote on or have your name on? Well, that's the thing. Are they really that busy?
Yes. No. I mean, I'm serious. These, and I'm not here just to defend these people because they should in many cases. They have legislative assistants who do a lot of the reading. These bills are sometimes so overwhelmingly big, and that's a big part of government that's problematic, is that they don't have time to read it because they're out raising money a lot of the time.
Yeah, well, right? that's the big
they're
problem.
Forced to. That is a big problem. It always goes back to money and politics. But what they're doing with this is, what will happen is somebody's going to find something. A legislative aide in some congressperson's office is going to find something. They're going to say this is a red flag. We have to deal with it. We have to look at it. Or they're going to point it out to the media, and then it's going to come back to them. They don't have time to read every single. It's like when you went to school. You didn't have time to read every word of every textbook, and it's a little like that. Though. I know they're paid to do it. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying it is an overwhelming. There isn't enough time in the day for anyone to read an entire healthcare bill proposal.
Right now, when it comes
to just an amendment, Michael.
Look, when it comes to passing laws, I just can't imagine, especially under this current political system where you do have to spend all this time fundraising. So you're not really a representative, you're a fundraiser, right? And then you have these congressional aides helping you out. I can't imagine trusting anyone. I don't care how good this congressional aide is. I can't imagine trusting anyone enough to just give me a briefing on what the proposed legislation is. I know that they have to under this, under this current political system. I totally understand that. But look, right now, I'm going through a big life change that I don't want to get into specifics for. It requires a lot of paperwork, right? Yeah. And I know that in most cases, people will get these huge stacks of paperwork, all of these contracts, all of these agreements, and they'll just be like, okay, just tell me where to sign, I'm gonna move on with my life.
It's just because signing your own name is so fun. That you don't want to read it, you're just like, give me another chance.
Got these pens to get out. The other thing though here is that's why there are committees. So if you are on the committee that's dealing with this, damn right you should be reading it, right? But if you're on this subcommittee and X subcommittee and you're just a member of Congress and there's an omnibus trade bill coming and that's not what your committee is doing, then you do have people in your office that are going to read that, and you don't have time to read this. But if you're on this committee, you really should be reading it. I think a lot of them do. I mean, I would imagine most of them, or the newer ones, do anyway.
I just wish Congress had more recesses, just to relax because of all this heavy reading that they're doing.
They sound like
they all had a place in Florida where they could go every weekend just to read legislation.
It's troubling because it's like how much of this feels like cut and paste. They just added this budget thing, cut and paste that thing where Congress can pull out. and that's it. And then they just move on. And the danger here is we just, the folks that gave blowback on this were calling out like a technicality. The rest of this whole thing remains. And the pain of it is like it's so easy to point out something like this, which is like Congress doesn't even like it. And it's so difficult to get into the deeper issues that are at stake. So those waivers are still on this amendment. Waivers like in graphic 6, regulations that require insurers charge everyone the same amount of premiums regardless of medical condition, and another requirement that mandates what services insurers must cover. This is what they can waive, states can waive, so there's no longer necessarily de facto protections for people with pre-existing conditions, or a list of things that insurance must do. So you can end up being covered, but not actually being covered for anything. These are still in the bill.
Right, well listen, for 6 years now, Democrats have been asking for a response from Republicans on Obamacare. They're getting it now, and it's not flying. Republicans aren't liking it, Democrats aren't liking it. Even the White House is saying, well, we'll have to wait and see.
Right, there's still speculation that this won't pass.
Right, there's more than speculation.
Like it seems like it's not gonna pass.
It's just so interesting to me that our elected officials will continuously smack talk healthcare in countries like Canada, right? And they'll always say things like, oh, the wait time is terrible. It's funny because I very rarely hear negative things about Canada's healthcare from people living in Canada, but we hear it a lot from our elected officials. Okay, so what is your answer to make healthcare better in America, to make it even better than what it is in Canada? To create waivers so people don't have to cover certain things in the health insurance plans? That's a better plan for you? It's just all so disingenuous. We know where it all comes from. We know that it has nothing to do about representing the people, looking out for their health and their families and making sure that they thrive. It's all about ensuring that they save money for these health insurance companies. Right now it's a privatized system and that's it. And all they want to do is strip away what little protections we have.
Podcast The Young Turks anytime you want. tytnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
Do it now. tytnetwork.com/join.